Καλώ τον κύριο Υπουργό στο βήμα για μια σύντομη ολιγόλεπτη ομιλία.
Για να μην ανησυχείτε, είναι πάρα πολύ σύντομο. Φίλες και φίλοι, Mr. Ambassador, συνάδελφε, πρέπει καταρχήν να ομολογήσω πως η πρωτοβουλία για πραγματοποίηση της πρωτότυπης αυτής εκδήλωσης με θέμα την πρώτη προσελήνωση του ανθρώπου στο φεγγάρι πριν από 45 χρόνια μας ξάφνιασε ευχάριστα. Θα ήθελα να επισημάνω πως πέρα από το αδιαφυσβήτητο ενδιαφέρον που έχει αυτό το κοσμοιστορικό γεγονός, υπάρχει ένα πολύ σημαντικό και συμβολικό μήνυμα το οποίο οφείλουμε να ερμηνεύουμε. Στη ζωή αξίζει πάντα να προσπαθούμε βλέποντας μπροστά και όχι πίσω. Και αυτό ίσως να έχει να κάνει και με τις εορτασμούς που κάναμε για τις επιτίους. Αυτό γιατί μπροστά μας βρίσκεται το μέλλον και η αισιοδοξία για μια καλύτερη ζωή και μια καλύτερη συνεργαζόμενη ανθρωπότητα. Η πασίγνωστη φράση του Νίλ Άρμστρονγκ πως όλο αυτό το εγχείρημα αποτέλεσε ένα μικρό βήμα για τον άνθρωπο αλλά ένα τεράστιο άλμα για την ανθρωπότητα, δείχνει το δρόμο ως προς το ποιο πρέπει να είναι η στάση μας απέναντι στις δυσκολίες τόσο της επιστήμης όσο και της ζωής. Πιστεύω πραγματικά ότι προχωρώντας με μικρά αλλά σταθερά και αποφασιστικά βήματα μπορούμε να κερδίσουμε το χαμένο χρόνο που μας προσπερνά αλλά και να πετύχουμε στη ζωή μας. Στο χέρι μας είναι να τα καταφέρουμε. Πριν κλείσω θέλω απλά να τονίσω ότι το Υπουργείο Συγκοινωνιών και Έργων θα συνεχίσει να στηρίζει και να υποστηρίζει με θέρμη, εξαιρετικά αξιόλογες και άκρως επιμορφωτικές εκδηλώσεις όπως αυτή που ξεκινά απόψε. Συγχαίρω όλους αυτούς που εργάστηκαν επίμονα για την πραγματοποίησή της και είμαι σίγουρος για την επιτυχία της. Σας ευχαριστώ πολύ.
Ο Διευθυντής Καινοτομίας και Ανάπτυξης της ΣΥΤΑ, Μιχάλης Παπαδόπουλος.
Έντιμοι κύριοι Υπουργοί, εξοχότατε πρέσβοι των ΗΠΑ, κλεχτοί προσκεκλημένοι, κυρίες και κύριοι, αγαπητοί φίλοι. Την εποχή που χτιζόταν η Ακρόπολη των Αθηνών, ρώτησαν δύο πελεκητές, stone choppers, πελεκητές, τι δουλειά κάνουν. Ο πρώτος είπε πελεκώ πέτρες. Ο δεύτερος απάντησε συμμετέχω στην οικοδόμηση ενός μνημείου. Ο μεγάλος λυρικός ποιητής Ράινερ Μαρία Ρίλκε είπε κάποτε πως το πιο μακρινό ταξίδι είναι αυτό μέσα μας. Και πραγματικά, σε αυτό το ταξίδι της αυτογνωσίας, αν ανακαλύψουμε τα ανώθευτα συστατικά, αυτά που έχουν σημασία και αξία, και αλλάξουμε λίγο τον τρόπο με τον οποίο κοιτάζουμε τα πράγματα, τότε ως διαμαγείας ο κόσμος θα αλλάξει. Και ξαφνικά ανακαλύπτουμε πως έχουμε δυνατότητες, μπορούμε να δημιουργήσουμε, τα προβλήματα φαντάζουν πλέον ως ευκαιρίες και μπορούμε να συνεργαστούμε για να δημιουργήσουμε αξία. Κυρίες και κύριοι, έχω την αίσθηση πως η σημερινή εκδήλωση ξεπερνά τις διαστάσεις αυτού του απόψινού εγχειρήματος, γιατί σηματοδοτεί την υπέρβαση της μετριότητας που μας πνίγει από παντού και σηματοδοτεί την αναζήτηση της αριστείας. Παρακολουθήστε μας, δεν φαντάζεστε πόσο μακριά μπορούμε να φτάσουμε. Η ΣΥΤΑ όχι μόνο θα είναι παρούσα, αλλά θα είναι ο βασικός συμμέτοχος του οικοσυστήματος καινοτομίας στην Κύπρο. I would like to say a few things in English for our English speakers. Well, our actions will determine whether we will belong to the winners or the losers of our era. As the late Maya Angelou has put it, the caged bird trills not because it has a simple reply to give, but because it has a song to sing and a story to tell. We will write the history of our country. It's up to us. And we are destined to be leaders, not followers. So let's start believing that we can do it. And we will. Thank you.
Ο Γιώργος Δανός από το CSO.
Εκλεκτοί προσκεκλημένοι, κυρίες και κύριοι, φίλες και φίλοι. Ο πρόεδρος Kennedy στη γνωστή του ομιλία του Σεπτέμβριο του 1962 είπε «Διαλέγουμε να πάμε στη σελήνη όχι γιατί είναι εύκολο, αλλά γιατί είναι δύσκολο. Είναι ένας στόχος που θα οργανώσει και θα μετρήσει ό,τι καλύτερο έχουμε στις ενέργειες και τις δεξιότητες μας». Ήταν μια περίοδος που η χώρα ζούσε μια βαθιά οικονομική κρίση. Αυτός ο κοινός στόχος ένωσε την χώρα κάτω από ένα κοινό όραμα και το αποτέλεσμα εντυπωσίασε ολόκληρη την ανθρωπότητα. Γιορτάζουμε σήμερα τα 45 χρόνια αυτού του κατορθώματος. Αυτό χρειαζόμαστε και εμείς εδώ σήμερα. Ένα κοινό όραμα που θα μας ενώσει με τις καλύτερες μας δυνάμεις και δεξιότητες για να πετύχουμε στόχους πολύ ψηλότερους από ποτέ και για πολλούς ακατόρθωτους. Η πάγια εντύπωση είναι ότι σαν Κύπρος δεν μπορούμε να ανταγωνιστούμε στον τομέα του διαστήματος, ότι είμαστε πολύ μικροί σαν χώρα και ότι ο τομέας αυτός έχει να κάνει μόνο με αποστολές ανθρώπων στο διάστημα. Αυτή η θέση είναι κάτι που συναντούμε καθημερινά. Η πραγματικότητα όμως είναι πολύ διαφορετική. Έχουμε το ψηλότερο ποσοστό απόφοιτων τριτοβάθμιας εκπαίδευσης σε ολόκληρη την Ευρώπη. Ο οργανισμός μας, ο Κυπριακός Οργανισμός Εξερεύνησης Διαστήματος, λειτουργεί μόλις εδώ και 1,5 χρόνο. Και είδαμε την ομάδα μας, την Mansens, που ονειρεύτηκε τα δύσκολα και σχεδόν ακατόρθωτα, να καταφέρνει να φτάσει εκεί που κανείς μας δεν ανέμενε. Επιλέχτηκε να παρουσιάσει την έρευνά της στην NASA και από 333 ερευνητικά έργα επιλέχτηκε στα 4 καλύτερα παγκοσμίως για το βραβείο του καλύτερου φοιτητικού ερευνητικού έργου. Ένα βραβείο που θεωρείται σαν το σημαντικότερο στον τομέα του διαστήματος. Ο Κυπριακός Οργανισμός Εξερεύνησης Διαστήματος, όταν πρώτο ιδρύθηκε, έβαλε σαν πρώτο του στόχο να βάλουμε την Κύπρο στον χάρτη των χωρών της εξερεύνησης του διαστήματος. Ο λόγος ύπαρξης του οργανισμού μας είναι η δημιουργία της βιομηχανίας του διαστήματος στην Κύπρο μέσω της προώθησης της προπαίδειας, της έρευνας, της ανάπτυξης, της καινοτομίας και της επιχειρηματικότητας. Σήμερα, σε ολόκληρη την Ευρώπη, ο κοινός στόχος προς οικονομική ανάπτυξη περνά από την καινοτομία και την ανάπτυξη της υψηλής βιομηχανίας. Είναι τυχαίο που όλες οι χώρες του κόσμου στρέφονται μία προς μία προς τον αγώνα δρόμου του διαστήματος. Είναι τυχαίο ότι και εδώ ο κόσμος διψά για μια λαμπρότερη μέρα. Είναι τυχαίο ότι το όραμά μας αγκαλιάστηκε από χιλιάδες συμπατριώτες μας, ερευνητές, νέους, φοιτητές από όλες τις ηλικίες και στρώματα. Δεκάδες εθελοντές και ερευνητές που με ενθουσιασμό θέλουν να εργαστούν στα διάφορα μας προγράμματα. Ο οργανισμός μας έχει στήσει σχέσεις από χώρα σε χώρα με εταιρείες και οργανισμούς του διαστήματος που θέλουν να συνεργαστούν μαζί μας, με την Κύπρο. Με αλλεπάλληλες συναντήσεις έβαλε στα σκαριά δεκάδες συμφωνίες συνεργασίας με διαστημικούς κολοσσούς, κέντρα και εθνικές διαστημικές υπηρεσίες. Τα μηνύματα που λαμβάνουμε από τους εταίρους μας στο εξωτερικό είναι πολύ ενθαρρυντικά για μας. Είχαμε δει πολλές φορές, σαν τόπος, πώς θα μπορέσουμε να πετύχουμε ενωμένοι, με ένα κοινό όραμα. Και είδαμε τι μπορέσαμε και πετύχαμε μέχρι σήμερα στον τομέα μας, τον τομέα του διαστήματος, σε τόσο λίγο χρονικό διάστημα. Βλέπουμε πόσες διεθνείς εταιρείες αναμένουν να συνεργαστούν μαζί μας, λόγω της συνεχιζόμενης προώθησής μας στο εξωτερικό. Είδαμε τι μπόρεσε ένα έθνος 45 χρόνια πριν με ένα κοινό στόχο να πετύχει. Δίνουμε λοιπόν χέρι συνεργασίας στην πολιτεία, στους πολίτες, σε όλους και ζητούμε να πάρουμε μαζί αυτόν τον τομέα μπροστά. Μαζί όλοι ενωμένοι κάτω από ένα κοινό στόχο. Σας ευχαριστώ. We're honored to have with us today the U.S. Ambassador, Mr. John Koenig. Mr. Ambassador, please.
Minister Dimitriadis, Minister Kadis, ladies and gentlemen, honored guests, it's a great pleasure for me to be here tonight. And I am going to introduce, I think, our speaker. I don't know if the timing is precisely right, but I hope that I'm more or less on target. The past week has been one of bitter anniversaries here in Cyprus and shocking events in Ukraine and Gaza. And it was against this background, when I was offered the opportunity to attend this event tonight and speak here, that I thought it was something I absolutely could not resist. I believe it is all the more important to look back on outstanding human achievement and think about the great discoveries of the future that the future may hold against the background of these difficult current events. 45 years ago, nearly 600 million viewers, 15% of the people on Earth at that time, watched as American astronauts on Apollo 11 became the first humans to set foot on the moon. I don't think I'm a really old person, but I don't think very many of us in this room were around, perhaps, to watch that event. I know that some of you probably were. And I was also one of those 600 million. I was with my family on our boat, moored at the dock in Penrose Park, a seaside park, not very far from Seattle, where I come from in the state of Washington. We had a portable black and white TV, and on top of it there were rabbit ears, if you remember those things. And we had that little TV propped up above the helm of our small boat. And all of us just sat there with our eyes glued on the screen. And then Neil Armstrong stepped down from that last step on the lunar module, and he said the famous words that have already been quoted in Greek. That's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind. At once, every boat in that bay started to honk their horns and shout, blow their whistles. And it was just an incredible and loud celebratory experience for me, just a kid of 10 off there in a far corner of America. And you had the sense that at that moment, all of mankind was celebrating something wonderful together. Apollo 11 was, of course, the dramatic culmination of the challenge that was laid down by President Kennedy to put a man on the moon within 10 years, as has also been mentioned already. And of course, this was also part of the Cold War era space race between the United States and what was then the Soviet Union. Yet, as one of the Apollo astronauts observed, gazing at the blue Earth against the blackness of space, we went to the moon to discover the Earth. Tonight's guest speaker, Andrew Chaikin, has long been interested in space travel. He was 12 years old when Apollo 11 landed on the moon. And while still at university, Andrew worked as a student intern at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory on the 1975 Viking 1 space mission, which was the first mission to successfully land a spacecraft on Mars. After working as a researcher at the Smithsonian Center for Earth and Planetary Studies, Chaikin embarked on his current career as a science journalist in 1980, and that has been a very distinguished career indeed. Over more than 30 years, Mr. Chaikin has been a frequent commentator on issues related to science and space, and a prolific author. He is perhaps best known for his critically acclaimed 1994 book, A Man on the Moon, The Voyages of the Apollo Astronauts. This book was exhaustively researched over 8 years and was based on interviews with all 23 surviving astronauts who had been to the moon.
Hello.
I have a first question.
Okay.
A lot of people are asking the space program, will it continue to Mars as well? Will we have a man on Mars?
You know, that's a very good question. Back in 1969, when Apollo 11 was actually happening, everybody was very optimistic. Everybody thought that by the 1980s, there would be humans on Mars. And it didn't turn out that way, and I think the reason that we haven't gone to Mars, there are several reasons. One is that it's incredibly difficult to go to Mars. Mars, you know, the moon is only 250,000 miles away, which in cosmic terms is just next door. But Mars never gets closer than 35 million miles from the Earth. So, you know, that's quite a bit farther. That's a whole quantum leap greater in difficulty. So, in order to go to Mars, you have to have spaceships and all the components of the spaceship have to be able to last for years. And if something goes wrong, you can't just send back to Earth for spare parts. You have to be able to fix whatever goes wrong with your spaceship or your space suit using the spare parts that you have with you. So that's one problem, reliability. Another problem is the medical concerns. When you go beyond the Earth's magnetic field, whether you go to the moon or you go to Mars, you now have to deal with the hazard of space radiation. There are two kinds. There's particles from the sun, which basically are what we call the solar wind and solar flare particles. So anytime there's a big explosion on the sun, it sends out these subatomic particles, protons and neutrons and electrons at very high speed, and those can kill you if you're caught in a solar storm. Then there's what we call cosmic rays, which come from outside of our solar system, and they also create a long-term cancer risk. So you have to have a way to protect yourself from space radiation. There's also the effects of weightlessness when you're floating in the capsule on the way to Mars. If you don't have a way of having artificial gravity, for example, by rotating the spacecraft to produce a gravity field, then you have the problem of your muscles get weak, your bones lose calcium, your heart becomes weak, and your immune system is also affected. So there's a huge number of medical problems we have to solve. Finally, I'll just tell you a very simple fact about going to Mars. When you go to Mars and you're 35 million miles or even farther from the Earth, because it depends where is Mars in its orbit relative to the Earth, it can be as much as a couple of 100 million miles. You are so far away that your radio signals take anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes just to go one way. So, you know, if you say, Houston, we've had a problem, you don't get an answer back for anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes, and by that time, that answer is not very much help. So you have a degree of isolation and separation from the Earth when you're living on Mars. The only people that you can have an actual real-time conversation with would be the people who are on Mars with you. And when you look up in the sky, the Earth looks like a star, just a bright star. So Mars, I tend to think of Mars as the Mount Everest of space exploration. We are going to have to do everything we can as human beings to be able to climb that mountain. So that's one reason we haven't been to Mars yet. The other reason is it's going to cost a lot of money. And you know, the only reason that we spent the money to go to the moon in the 1960s was because of the Cold War. It really was a substitute for a real war with the Soviet Union. And thank God that we didn't have a real war with the Soviet Union, that we chose to fight a battle in the Cold War with the space program and with exploration instead of with bombs. So once we got to the moon, once we beat the Russians to the moon, all that political support for spending all that money went away. And the space program did continue, but it's never been like it was during Apollo, and it's never going to be that way again, I really think. So the other thing we have to do is we have to figure out how to have spaceships that are affordable and sustainable. And so that's what some very smart people are working on right now. But all of that adds up to saying that, yes, I think we will go to Mars, but I think it's going to take a while. It's probably not going to be until the middle of this century, would be my guess.
How important is the moon to the Earth, and can we survive without it?
That's a wonderful question. The moon is everything to us because it creates the tides. And the tides have been so crucial in the origin and evolution of life. So I would say that the moon is very important to us from a biological standpoint. And then I'll add another comment after George translates. So the other thing I would say is that the moon has been so important to us in our evolution as a species to become a spacefaring species. We humans were motivated to leave our home planet because there is a moon that we can see so clearly. The moon has given us a place beyond the Earth to reach for. It's also given us a way of looking at another world in space. Once we invented the telescope, Galileo invented the telescope in 1609, and he was the first person to see the craters of the moon. So the moon has been very important to us in our curiosity, in our exploration, and in our motivation. By the way, I forgot to add one comment about the origin of the moon that we learned from Apollo. Scientists believe that the moon was formed by an enormous impact. Very soon after the Earth formed, another planet, which was about half the size of the Earth, in other words, about the size of Mars, hit the Earth and blasted an enormous amount of material off the Earth. That material went into orbit around the Earth, and eventually it came together to form the moon. So the moon itself was created by a gigantic impact. I forgot to mention that before.
Yeah, that was a very interesting addition. There was another question that I've been asked to say. There was an announcement recently by NASA that soon we will be detecting extraterrestrial life. I assume that means via SETI or otherwise. Any comments on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure that anybody said it would be soon, because I don't think anybody knows how soon we will make that detection. I think most scientists believe that it is extremely likely that there is life beyond Earth. And the reason, one of the main reasons people are so sure that there's life beyond Earth is that we are finding so many planets. We are finding literally thousands of planets orbiting other stars. And some of those planets seem to be similar in size and density to our Earth. And some of them are in the right temperature zone for liquid water to exist. We don't know if the water is there, but we can tell that they're in the right distance from their star to support liquid water. And of course, liquid water is essential for any form of life that we are familiar with. So just the statistics, just the sheer number of planets, makes us think that there has to be somewhere where life has gotten started. and then you think about all of the literally billions of stars in our galaxy, and there are billions of galaxies beyond our galaxy, and so you can imagine how many places there are where life might have gotten started. Now, as far as finding that life, there are two separate programs about that. One is what you mentioned, which is called SETI, and that is an acronym that stands for Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. And that is using radio antennas, big radio dish antennas, to listen for signals from an alien civilization. And that has been going on for several decades now, and you know, that's just really, nobody can predict when we might hear the signal from an alien civilization, but we're going to keep listening. Then there is the search for life in our own solar system. And we've been thinking for quite a while that maybe Mars would be the most likely place to find life. And so the rover that's on Mars now, which is called Curiosity, one of its most important jobs is to show that there were conditions that life could have existed. We don't know that the life was there yet, but at least we can say that life could have existed in that part of Mars. So that's very exciting. Ultimately, we would like to have samples of Mars rocks to study in laboratories on Earth to maybe find evidence of life. If we're very lucky, maybe we'll find those in the samples we bring back with a future mission, robotic mission. However, there are other places in the solar system that seem to be very promising places to look for life. And I'll just tell you about one of them. There is a small moon of Saturn, a satellite of Saturn. It's called Enceladus. And it's only a few hundred miles across. It's made mostly out of ice. And beneath the icy crust of Enceladus, there is an ocean of liquid water. We know that from studying Enceladus and analyzing the way it moves in space. We can from that information figure out the density, and we also look at its surface, and we see that its surface is very, very bright. It's covered with fresh ice, and so we think that that ice is coming from the inside of the moon. And then finally, in the south pole of Enceladus, we see jets of water, which are coming out into space. And so those are like geysers, like Old Faithful in Yellowstone National Park here in America.
I have a question. Is it possible for people to live on the moon?
It is possible to live on the moon. They would have to be protected from the radiation. They would have to be protected from the temperature extremes. There's no air on the moon, so you would have to live inside a module like the modules that we have up on the space station. In fact, some people think that one easy way to create a moon base would be to take some of those space station modules, if we make more of them, and bring them down to the surface of the moon. And then what you would do is you cover those modules with a lot of moon dust, and that would help protect from radiation. And so you would live inside the module, and every once in a while, when you wanted to go out and explore, you would put on a spacesuit, and you'd go out through an airlock, and you'd walk around, and you'd get all dirty, because moon dust sticks to everything. And then you'd come inside, and you'd leave your spacesuit in a protected into everything else. And that would be how you would live on the moon. Now, in the very distant future, maybe we would even have a city on the moon with a big dome over it. You know, we're very creative creatures. We're very smart and clever. And I think if people are motivated to live on the moon, they will find a way to do that. I personally think that the moon is a very exciting place to explore because it tells us so much about the earliest history of the solar system. It's also a place where we can learn how to live on another planet. You know, if we're going to go to Mars, we're going to have to deal with many of the problems we would face on the moon, like the dust, like the radiation, and so on. But the moon is relatively close by, much easier to get to. If you have a problem, you can get home much more easily. So the moon is valuable that way. And then finally, I think the moon is a wonderful place to visit because it's the only place in the solar system where you can stand on another world and see the beautiful Earth as a planet. And so I really think the moon is quite a jewel, quite a wonderful thing that we have in the solar system.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.